last time I was reading to you from A Different Kind of Skinny Ankles by Jacinda Ardern, she'd just been asked by Andrew Little to take over and had this absolute fit of self-doubt. 6 days later, I walked into the Legislative Council chamber where 20 members of the media were gathered and waiting. The microphones were on. Well, what a redundancy. Of course they're on. They're not going to have them turned off. The cameras were rolling. Cameras don't roll anymore. They're just on because they're digital cameras these days. We don't even use videotape. I took my place in front of the microphones. Next to me stood Kelvin Davis, a former school principal, the MP for Titai Tokerau, and our newly elected deputy leader. Kelvin was a man of quiet mana with rural roots, whom Grant had nominated as deputy and caucus unanimously backed. Grant stood behind me, and other top members of Labour flanked my sides. I was wearing a black dress, bright red blazer, bright red lipsticks, the colour of Labour. Makes no mention of whether or not her shoes made her ankles look small. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon, I said. I want to start by giving a brief statement. Flash bulbs popped. Now, there are no flash bulbs, Jacinda. That is the old Hollywood movies where they have the big round things and they go pop and then the flash bulbs drop on the... They're not flash bulbs. They're just flashes on cameras and iPhones. Delusional. I could hear the camera shutters clicking. Yeah, some of the camera shutters click or they have it, but not many. Don't doubt yourself. Annette had texted, that's Annette King, just a few months earlier, chin out and tell them you're ready. Following Andrew's announcement this morning, I continued, I was nominated to be leader of the Labour Party. My nomination was unanimously accepted. I had been deputy leader for 5 months. Now I was running to be the Prime Minister of New Zealand. There were moments where I hovered above myself, just an observer to those high-speed events and my slightly fat ankles. It all felt so surreal. Or perhaps as one of my stunned colleagues had yelled from the back of the caucus room when Andrew told us he was resigning and immediately nominated me, this is effed. It had been 6 I wonder who that was. I bet it was David Cunliffe. It had been 6 days since Andrew had called me into his office and questioned whether he could go as leader. Soon after, another poll was taken, and this time it was public. The pressure increased. In the days that followed, I wasn't clear what Andrew was thinking, but in the back of my mind, I began to let the what-if scenarios played out. If he went, what would I say? If I was nominated, blah, 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 blah. Then she has this moment, and it's a pretty boring session, and I'll just finish with this bit. Then at the press conference, I took questions. They came quickly. Do you think you're up to the job of Prime Minister? What do you believe equips you for that? Do you believe you can credibly form a government with polling at just 24%? Who are Jacinda Ardern and Kelvin Davies? Do your ankles look big in that? As I answered, I held my head up, tried to project the confidence that defied the questions I was being asked, and then it was over. It was fast and for the most part upbeat, 25 minutes all told, and the best start I could have given us. But nothing about this was going to be easy. Tell us about it, Jacinda. That's the latest instalment of A Different Kind of Power, a memoir by Jacinda Ardern, former Prime Minister of New Zealand. Oh, it's so good to be back in the saddle with that.